Ja, hallo. Ich habe beschlossen, einen neuen Kanal oder Nebenkanal aufzumachen zu meinem bisherigen Kanal, und zwar Folgis Abenteuerspiele. Da möchte ich hauptsächlich am Computer so Abenteuerspiele spielen und auch ein bisschen drüber reden. Und da dieses Jahr, also 2024, doch einige interessante neue Spiele rauskommen im Abenteuerbereich, vor allem Point and Click. Die, was ich bevorzuge, muss ich dazu sagen. So Action-Abenteuer ist nicht so mein Fall. Also wie gesagt, so gute alte Point and Click Abenteuerspiele, die spiele ich am gernsten. Habe ich gedacht, ich mache da jetzt mal einen extra Kanal auf und spiele da ein paar Spiele, die was rauskommen. Ja, und da möchte ich jetzt mal mit einem Spiel anfangen. Das ist noch nicht draußen, sondern das kommt erst raus, aber sie haben auf Steam schon eine Demo reingestellt und die habe ich mir jetzt mal runtergeladen und da möchte ich es mir mal anschauen, wie das Spiel ist. Und zwar, dieses Spiel heißt Foolish Mortals. Dann werde ich das mal laden. So, jetzt müssen wir im Hintergrund schon die Musik hören. Jawohl, da ist es auch. Ja, sehr schön. Dann würde ich mal sagen, werde ich mich hier mal ein bisschen verkleinern. So, jetzt bin ich wieder im Eck unten. Und dann spielen wir mal eine Runde Foolish Mortals, die Demo-Version. Da geht es um diesen Typen, der auf einer Insel einen Schatz sucht und dazu mit Geistern in Kontakt treten muss, weil er nur so den Schatz anscheinend finden soll. Mal schauen, wie das ist. In Klingwood Studios sagt man jetzt nichts, die was das hergestellt haben. Aber das ist genauso meine Richtung, ein bisschen mysteriös, mit Geistern. Da habe ich schon einige gespielt, Black Mirror, Geheimnis Tunguska und so weiter und so fort. Also da gibt es schon auch noch einige interessante. Okay, gehen wir mal weiter, brauchen wir ja nicht sehen. Schauen wir uns mal das Intro an.
They said there was a treasure on the island. Its location known only by the dead. I could see it in my dreams. How was I supposed to know that in order to find it, I'd have to die too?
Und jetzt geht's runter. Ja, fast wie am Mississippi.
Spirits and specters from
Und
regions
da sieht mir
unknown.
jetzt fast
Guide
aus
to me the
wie
wanderer.
Monkey Island,
Searches
die
alone.
Voodoo-Priesterin.
Well, welcome back, Murphy McCallan.
Ja,
Have you
Zutaten für
found
ein
all 5
Zauberbuch.
ingredients for the spell?
Kommt mir auch bekannt vor.
I found 3 so far. Only 2 are left. The chalk and the coffin nails.
Hurry. The island will lead you to that which you seek. I have no doubt about that.
So, dann werden wir mal, wie wird mir der Zauber helfen, den verlorenen Schatz von Bellemore Manor zu
How will the
finden?
spell help me find the lost treasure of Bellemore Manor?
There are things on this island that have gone unseen. At least to mortals. I commune with regions beyond. Let me introduce you to a friend.
Oha.
Out of the shadows, the cursed and the damned, return now my servant to do my command.
Grasgrün.
I have returned to you, master.
Loa, this gentleman wishes to find the lost treasure of Bellemore Manor. Tell him how this can be done.
Only inhabitants of the house know where the treasure lies.
Mhm.
Their spirits still within its walls, trapped. To ask them, those spirits must be revealed.
And that is what our spell will do, Murphy. A summoning spell to unveil the ghosts trapped within the house.
5 ingredients place inside, tie closed, and then unseal.
Once you've collected all 5, we can summon the ghosts of Bellemore Manor. Once we've summoned the ghosts, we can ask them exactly where the treasure was hidden. You have served me, Loa.
Okay. Dann schauen wir
Do you know
mal.
what happened at Bellemore? I want to know everything I can about that house.
Then listen close.
Okay, dann hören wir mal zu.
Dark magic runs throughout Bellemore Manor. The house was built by the Bellemore brothers, 3 merchants from England who made their fortune trading across the Caribbean. Xavier Bellemore, an explorer, Yardley Bellemore, an actor, and Cecil Bellemore, a scientist. Their parents dead for many years. They each loved and cared for their young sister, Abigail. Abigail met a young sailor who worked aboard one of her brother's ships. And in less than a year, he proposed. The engagement was a scandal. Despite having the pick of any eligible bachelor in high society, her hand and the Bellemore fortune was to go to a commoner. Because of their unconditional love for their young sister, the Bellemore brothers sanctioned the marriage. But people began to wonder if Abigail was being locked into marriage, whether by blackmail or black magic. Grand wedding was planned by the 3 proud brothers, but in the months leading up to the wedding, each of the brothers, one by one, was lost, presumed dead. And yet the wedding was still to go ahead. And with Abigail set to inherit the Bellemore fortune once she came of age, many people began to wonder whether the sailor was not a perpetrator, but a pawn. On the morning of the wedding, the sailor was summoned to her chambers. I don't love you, Abigail declared. I never loved you. And to everyone gathered in the house, Abigail declared that that same evening, she would marry another, John Rackham, first officer of the Bellemore Trading Company, would be her new groom. Except that didn't happen. On the night of the wedding, everyone in the house suddenly and mysteriously vanished. Perhaps the last revenge of the scorned sailor. The house that night held a heart that would be broken, a victim who would be tricked, and a force that would unleash evil. But no one knows exactly who each was. If you want to find the treasure, Murphy, you'll have to find out.
Aha. So, dann schauen wir mal. Oder fragen wir mal vielmehr.
How am I going to find the spell ingredients?
Everything I've ever needed for my voodoo spells, I have found on this island. It's as though this island pulls the supernatural to it. Keep searching. Once that's complete, I will show you the final step of the spell.
Okay.
I'm going to finish finding the voodoo ingredients.
Hurry back.
Jupp, dann gehen wir mal raus. Okay. Monkey Island. Und das Spiel beginnt. Ja, wenn man mit der Maus hochgeht, erscheint hier das Inventar. Und das haben wir hier. Tagebuch. Was steht da drin? Aha, da kann man wohl Tipps dann bekommen. Hotspot. Ah ja. Das präparierter Fisch, den
I
nehmen wir
took the
mal.
taxidermied fish from the rotting wooden frame.
Yep. Was haben wir hier? Da nehmen kann man nichts, aber ich würde mal sagen, das bedeutet, dass man da irgendwas damit machen kann. Okay, nützt man jetzt gerade nicht. Gehen wir mal zur Tür, wo ich bezweifle, dass offen ist.
I jiggled the handle,
Yeah.
but the door was locked.
Typisch. Und
With a bit of
Fenster.
elbow grease, I pushed up the wooden window frame.
Aha, das
Pressed
geht.
against the inside wall was a dusty desk covered in spider webs, and on top it, one thing lay undisturbed, a small folded document which I picked up, along with an unintentional 8-legged companion. Ugh! Ghost stories and haunted treasures I could handle, but spiders gave me the creeps.
Okay, schauen wir mal. Aha, rechter Mausknopf und man bekommt das größere Captain's-Lizenz, eine Kapitänslizenz. Mit linkem Mausknopf kann man es öffnen. Ja. Cornelius Knott, Laber Laber von 1910. Okay, gehen wir wieder. Und hier kann ich dann auf die Insel. Und da gibt es jetzt verschiedene Dinger. In der Demo nicht verfügbar. In der Demo, dann kann ich nur diese speziellen Dinge hier hin. Würde ich mal sagen, gehe ich mal da ganz da. Ja, da haben wir's.
Framed by trees and lit by moonlight, Bellemore Manor stood imposingly in the still night air. Even without lights on, it felt like something inside the house was calling me. Or
Oder
warning
nicht.
me.
Jetzt schauen wir noch mal die Hotspots an. Da
I
ein
wasn't
Teich.
going to wade into the pond.
Okay. Gehen wir mal zum Gebäude. Aber
I scanned the house for a way in, perhaps an unlocked door or window, but my search was without luck.
okay, dann werde ich da wahrscheinlich Türe. Schauen wir mal. Aber wenn er schon sagt, sei nicht.
With a deep breath, I took hold of the door handle of the house I'd been thinking about for months and turned it. Unsurprisingly, it was
Ja,
locked. I briefly
natürlich.
considered breaking into the house, but unsure of just how true the ghost stories were, decided it was better to not risk angering any spirits that may have been in there. If I was getting in, I was going to need the key.
Ob man sie da trotzdem dann nicht verärgert, wenn man trotzdem auch mit Schlüssel reingeht. Dann gehen wir mal zum Pfad. Doppelklick und er geht dahin. Ja. Okay. Wieder Doppelklick auf die Laterne. Ja, ein Hufeisen.
The horseshoe was too high up to reach.
Okay, Möbel.
From the gathering moss and rust, it was clear the patio set hadn't been used in decades.
Oh. Okay.
So much for good luck.
Ja, nehmen wir es halt einfach mal.
I picked up the horseshoe that assaulted me. It was heavy, very heavy.
Aha. Gehen wir auf die Insel zurück. So, ja. Okay. Dann vermute ich schon, wo ich hier die Nägel herbekomme. Die Frage ist nur, wie. Wie üblich, wieder Doppelklick da drauf. Stark.
The coffin lid had been nailed down securely. I wasn't going to be able to open it.
Okay. Tisch.
I tried to move the coffin, but the jack was holding the table up securely.
Jack. Aha.
I scanned the headstones for anything of note, but didn't know what I was searching
lassen wir
for.
das. Blechdose.
The tin was empty.
Okay.
I didn't need to do anything with the stove, and would have probably burnt my hands if I tried.
Totenkopf. Bring ich den jetzt um?
Hello.
Nein.
Consarn it! Don't sneak up on people like that. You frighten the dying daylights out of me.
He looked at me like he'd seen a ghost. Sorry, you seem a little jumpy?
I thought you were those pesky kids again.
Kids don't seem like a reason to be scared.
They're little terrors. I'm sure they're gonna give me a heart attack. Last week they showed up with a doctor's note they forged, saying a man I'd buried that day was just a
ein sehr tiefer Schläfer.
sleeper. 7 hours I was out here digging him up, at my age.
And was he sleeping?
Dead as a dodo, just like those kids will be.
Oh. Scheint sie nicht gerade zu lieben. Dann stellen wir uns mal vor, hm?
My name's Murphy McCallan. I've just arrived on the island.
Well, welcome, Mr. Murphy. I'm Edgar Kettle, gravedigger, undertaker, coffin maker, and anything else that needs doing to keep this cemetery running.
So.
I'm looking for the treasure of Bellemore Manor.
Another treasure hunter. Well, let me tell you something, young man. Don't even think about digging up my graveyard. There's no treasure buried here, and I'm already busy enough filling in the holes that are meant to be here.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the disappearance at Bellemore Manor?
I think it's important to leave the dead to rest in peace.
But what if they're not in peace?
Well, I think there's more to that story than meets the eye. You know the 3 brothers went missing, right? Well, if you ask me, I think
Aha, denkt also, die Schwester steckt dahinter.
Engaged to a sailor, but nobody like her would go for a commoner.
She might have loved him.
She could have loved somebody with a big bank account, too. I think she must have been pretending to love him, so he'd do her dirty work. Then afterwards, she drops him and goes to...
Those are some pretty...
Just a feeling, that's all. I don't have any evidence. But when you work with cadavers, you can't... People killed in mysterious circumstances. Like you can tell when...
You actually seem to have...
Wise guy.
What do you think was behind the disappearance?
Well, the sailor must have found out he was being manipulated, mustn't he? Done something to get his revenge.
What do you think the sailor did to get his revenge?
Nobody knows. But in his contracts to the Caribbean, all we know is that everyone in that house disappeared. And to tell you the truth, I'm quite...
Why's that?
Saved me a good amount of work.
Have you got any
No, I don't got any to spare. I have to buy these out of my own pocket. Do you know how much the parish gives me per burial nowadays? A pittance. The roof's leaking, my table's broken. I've used floorboards to build some of the coffins. Take my advice. Don't go into this line of work. I'm telling you, undertaking's a dying business.
Have you ever accidentally buried someone who was still alive?
Not that I know of. When you think about it, how would I know?
Shouts for help?
Look, I haven't sealed anyone up who was chatting away with me, let's put it that way. I usually check for signs of life, but everyone takes shortcuts sometimes, don't they? I deserve some rest in peace, too.
Do you not find working in a graveyard...
Why would it be eerie?
I don't know.
I don't like to think about...
Why not?
Because they'd be... I have my work cut out here with the dead as it is. Imagine if they came back asking...
Woran
What are you
arbeitest du?
working on?
This is just a pauper's coffin the parish is funding. Lock 'em in lumber, leave 'em to slumber. That's what I call it. No frills. This'll end up 5 feet under by the end of the night.
I thought it was supposed to be 6 feet.
You're not the one doing the digging. 5 feet means I get...
So.
Why are you out here working so late?
The funerals take place in the morning, and I prefer to be tucked up in my bed. I don't like those early funerals. I'm not a morning person.
Did the coffin just move?
Don't even joke about that.
Ich gehe jetzt
I
weg.
best be running along.
Don't drop dead. I don't want anything else adding to my...
Okay, da kann ich jetzt was machen. Aha.
With the jack removed, the table rocked freely.
Ah, gut zu wissen. Geht's da hinten weiter? Ja, also das Gräber brauche ich gar nicht anschauen. Aber hier ist was Größeres.
I couldn't see any way to open it.
Okay, ich gehe mal davon aus, das ist wahrscheinlich für später. Dann war ich jetzt hier. Okay, dann gehen wir jetzt mal da unten. Oh,
Walking
da
into the
ist die
port town
Stadt.
of Dead Nettle, I could sense its history in every stone, brick, and plank.
Also, nette Grafik,
Echoes of merchant
gefällt
ships
mir.
loading and unloading all manner of cargo from expeditions throughout the Caribbean. Gold and treasure that may still lie hidden on the island.
Du hast ein bisschen mehr Bewegung können. Obwohl, ja, jetzt das Wasser bewegt sich. Aber jetzt schauen wir erstmal. Juwelen. Gehen wir da mal rein.
I tried the door. It was locked.
Okay. Schauen wir uns mal das Schildchen hier an. Na los, Beeilung.
The sign read, "The Fantastic Fantaccio Brothers will be performing tonight."
Okay.
Gruff
Was hat das
mumbles
da hinten?
emanated from inside the puppet theater. Obviously, preparation for tonight's show was already underway.
Okay, dann schauen wir mal, ob wir da weiterkommen. Jawohl. Hier.
The poster advertised billiards at the Captain's Club, with 3 billiard
Kös-
balls and 2 cues framing a cube of billiard chalk.
Ah, Würfel mit Billardkreide. Und ich glaube... Ups, stopp, rechter Mausknopf. Wo ich die herbekomme, weiß ich jetzt. Ja, und Kreide weiß ich jetzt auch. Dann unterhalten wir uns
Good
mal.
evening. He looked past me like I was invisible. As though if he ignored me hard enough, I said good evening.
I suppose, if one's standards are low enough, have you taken a wrong turn?
I'm just having a look around.
Well, make it a quick one.
Wer sind
are
Sie?
My name is Felix
Felix.
Greer, maitre d', bartender, and acting manager of the Captain's Club, when Mr. Perkins has his night off. And who, pray tell, are you?
Murphy McCallan. I'm looking for the lost treasure of...
Oh, goody, another young adventurer seeking fame, fortune, or some combination of the two. Just what Dead Nettle's been lacking for local color.
Was ist das
What
für
is
ein
this
Ort?
place?
This, sir, is the Captain's Club, a private members club for current and retired sea and riverboat captains. We are highly exclusive. Are you a captain?
He asked with a smugness that told me he already knew the answer.
I thought not. Then may I recommend a swift exit? You'll find a convenient egress approximately 180 degrees to starboard. If you like, I can give you a good swift kick in the right direction, sir. And don't feel a need to stop walking until your ankles get soggy.
What can you tell me about Dead Nettle?
Do you think you've wandered into the local library? Should we gather around for story time?
I was just hoping to talk to someone obviously so knowledgeable about the...
Well, yes. Unfortunately, I'm plagued with an encyclopedic. My concierge duties require it. I have a spiel. Welcome, hardy traveler, to our quaint port town of Deadnet. Once this town you see around you was a hub of commerce, a beacon for ships bravely navigating. With the unfortunate dissolution of the Bellemore Trading Company, our town has settled into a quieter life, perfect for the sailor ready to hang up their cap. We hope that you enjoy your time in our homely town and perhaps explore some of the local sites. With the Captain's Club always here as your home port.
So, warum?
Why was the Bellemore Trading Company dissolved?
Well, you're taking me off script, but it really was quite the scandal. The 3 owners of the company vanished, and there was simply nobody left to run the company.
Wasn't there anyone who tried?
The first officer of the company, Mr. Rackham, looked to step up, but he disappeared too. I do wish the company hadn't collapsed.
I bet lots of people share that wish.
I might have more customers if it hadn't.
Ja, dann...
What do you know about the lost treasure?
Do you think you're living in a storybook? Weathered maps, talking parrots, X marks the spot? Grow up, you silly boy. Captaincy is an accomplished skill which doesn't need belittling by childish tales like lost treasure.
What do you know
So-
about the Bellemore wedding?
You mean the disappearance of the Bellemore wedding? On moonlit nights when the waves crash against the rocks, The captains of this club trade yarns about this very mystery. Did you know Abigail Bellemore's fiancé was a sailor who worked on the ships? Some of the old boys here even worked with him. They say he loved her, as true as a captain loves the sea. But she was a temptress, a siren who scuttled that sailor's heart.
What did she do?
After months of engagement, she broke it off and chose to marry an officer of the company instead, on their very wedding day.
Who was the man she chose to marry instead?
John Rackham, a landlubber who only used the bounties of the sea to fill his coin purse. But the Bellemores harnessed his ambitions for the company, his expertise at imports and exports.
Why did she do it?
What many people don't know is that mysterious things had been found on one of the company voyages to the Caribbean. Mystical things, some say.
What did they find?
The crew was sworn to secrecy by the Bellemore brothers, and all of the men were loyal enough to keep their word. But the rot in the rope was that sister, Abigail. People say that the discovery took hold of her. With the broken heart of the sailor and the resources of the officer, she was about to unleash something terrible. Perhaps it was a good thing that they all disappeared.
Do you think that's true?
Of course not. It's all nonsense. But the captains do love to outperform each other with such tales on a dull evening.
Scheint noch
What makes you
interessant
think
zu
I'm not a
werden.
captain?
Well, for one thing, you lack the grizzle, the crustiness, the essential R of a captain.
How do I get those?
Years of exposure to salt water and sullen, uncooperative crew members, I should think. Tell me, have you ever captained a three-rigger through a tropical typhoon? Have you ever run the rapids of the Mississippi without hitting a single reef? Wind in your sails, fire in your furnace, waves beneath your keel?
Have you?
Well, it's more complicated than that.
In what way?
I get seasick.
Kann ich irgendwie beweisen? Schauen
Is
wir
there any
mal.
way to prove I'm a captain?
You might show me your captain's license. As I'm sure you know, the state of Louisiana requires all captains, both sea and riverboat, to carry one. But don't try to foist me off with a fake. Last week, we had someone present a license with a photograph distinctly unlike their contemporary appearance. The photograph was clearly of someone a good deal older than them, with more facial hair and, most importantly, one less eye.
Ich mache mich auf den
I best
Weg.
be casting off.
Don't feel the need to rush back, sir.
Okay. Hotspot, ja, da komme ich nicht rein. Was ist das? Springbrunnen.
There was nothing in the fountain apart from a rim of moss.
Okay. Gehen wir wieder raus. So, dann weiß ich ja, was ich brauche. Weil Kapitänsführerschein habe ich. Das Einzige, was mir fehlt, ist hier noch ein Bild von mir. Das muss ich jetzt mal rausfinden, wo ich das herbekomme, weil das hat er ja ziemlich deutlich gesagt. Ein Bild soll drauf sein. Da ist keins drauf, das bedeutet, ich brauche dringend ein Bild.
There was no way to get out to the wreck, and from how decayed it looked, no reason to get out to the wreck either.
Okay, Durchgang, ich vermute, dann geht's da wieder raus. Also gehen wir mal da entlang. Weil zum Angler werde ich auch noch runterkommen. Oha, hier ist auch noch was. Lesen wir erstmal hier, was das ist. Hier sind
The
zwei
latest
Seiten.
newspaper contained a photograph of the fisherman on the docks, with a headline declaring he'd just broken the island's heaviest catch record. Nothing else was of interest.
Okay, dann gehen wir mal nach unten. Obwohl, Fischernetz, schauen wir uns das mal an. Ah, da geht's zur Insel zurück.
The fishing net was so worn it looked like it might fall apart at any moment. It wasn't going to be of any use to me.
Okay. Dock und Angler. Ah ja, da kann ich jetzt, was ist das,
That's for
Waage?
weighing fish. No one's going to beat my record.
Aha, der Herr hat also einen Rekord aufgestellt. Fragen wir
On fish
mal.
biting?
Well, not so well today to tell the truth. But you should have seen them yesterday. I was having to fight them off the rod. The name's Ned Kipps, by the way. Just Kipps to my friends.
I'm Murphy McCallan.
Nice to meet you, Mac. What are you doing on this old rock anyway? I haven't seen you around before.
I guess you could say that.
Then you got worse judgment than an arm wrestler squaring up to a kraken. Hope you don't regret it.
Me too.
Oha. Da kann man
What's
jetzt
that
wieder
book you're
einiges
reading?
fragen.
The Louisiana Book of Records. There's this fish called a pinkoza that swims around these parts.
Lecker Getränk.
Delicious barbecue. And you're looking at the fella that's caught the heaviest pink cosa ever weighed at the Dead Nettle Docks. Now I'm looking to see if it's a state record, maybe even national, or a world record.
That's some achievement.
Oh, it was. Got my photograph on the front page of the newspaper and everything.
What do you do with the fish?
A couple I saved for myself, and the rest I sell to the Captain's Club. They fancy them up with lemon lobster, slawfish something or other. Fools. Everyone knows the best way to cook them is to barbecue them. But then again, I haven't eaten in that place my whole life.
Why not?
I don't have a captain's license, so they won't let me in.
Don't you have a fishing boat?
I used to. The Petit Pichet. But they don't count it if it doesn't have a crew.
What happened to it?
That's it across the harbor with its bow sticking out the water. It was the strangest thing. There I was, fishing just out in the bay, when a sea serpent comes out the water, wraps itself around the boat. Well, I was going to be a goner. Jabbed my fishing pole right in its beady eye, throttled the motor, and managed to make it back to shore just as the hull went under. It's lucky I made it out alive.
That's a pretty tall tale.
I wouldn't believe it myself if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes.
It was clear that Ned had a penchant for fanciful stories. He told them with such vigor, I think he'd convinced himself they were true.
So.
I'm looking for the lost treasure of Bellemore Manor.
Well, I've heard a tall tale or two, but even I'm not spending my time looking for that. It's been lost for 30 years now.
Lost means it's still ready for finding.
I've traveled every waterway on this island, and I haven't even seen a hint of it. It could be at the bottom of the ocean for all I know. And I've found a few treasures in my time. French treasure, British treasure, pirate treasure, but no Bellemore treasure.
Do you still have those treasures?
Well, I had to hide them again. Give someone else a chance to find them. I wouldn't believe it myself if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes.
So.
What do you know about the disappearance at Bellemore Manor?
Now there's a tale to tell. You know about Miss Bellemore? The bride engaged to the sailor?
Mal schauen, was der jetzt zu erzählen
She was
hat.
having an affair. Getting up to no good with this fellow called John Rackham. He was one of the Bellemore Company's higher-ups. Anyway, sailor catches wind of it and tricks Rackham into giving the lady a gift. That's what caused everything to go topsy-turvy.
What was the gift?
Call me a liar, but there are places in the Caribbean that trade things more elusive than gold. Ungodly things.
Is that what you think caused the disappearance?
What else could it be?
Was kannst du
What can
mir...
you tell me about Miss Bellemore?
Ah, Abigail. More beautiful than a mermaid, and twice as fishy. Seems like such a nice girl, too. Until the affair. It seems so unlike her.
What about the sailor?
Don't know much about him. Never met the fella. I never got involved in the dock work, to tell the truth. Always preferred to sit with my fishing pole and fend for myself. We all figured that Abigail being in love with him and everything. He must have been fine folk. I think we were wrong. Poor Rackham, though. He was wronger still. I'm a business guy myself. Get the product, sell the product. Nothing wrong with bringing home the bacon. But he brought back trouble, and he paid the price.
I suppose it was a mistake for him to get involved with Abigail.
It's risky mixing business and pleasure.
Wir sehen
Catch you
uns.
later, Ned.
See you around, Mac.
Okay. Ja. Also. Ich brauche Nägel. Die werde ich auf dem Friedhof wahrscheinlich irgendwie bekommen. Das muss ich noch schauen, wie ich das mache. Und ich brauche Kreide. Die werde ich hier bekommen, aber dazu brauche ich noch hier ein Bild von mir, und zwar ein aktuelles, dass er mich da reinlässt und ich die Kreide dann holen kann. Und ich vermute, dass das irgendwas mit da zu tun hat und wahrscheinlich auch hier, ja, die Gazette, das ist die Zeitung, würde ich mal sagen. Aber das werde ich dann das nächste Mal herausfinden. Für heute ist Schluss. Sofern ich es natürlich speichern kann. Schauen wir mal. Ja, speichern. So. Dann hätten wir das gespeichert. Ja? Aha, zurück, dann kann ich das. Okay. und laden. Ah ja. Zurück löscht er. Komisch, dass er es nicht bei Löschen löscht. Ja, okay. Dann habe ich es jetzt rausbekommen. Also nur die Weltkarte. Okay, das ist die Karte. Ja. Dann kann ich da direkt immer überall hinspringen. Ah ja, und da komme ich dann wieder hierher. Okay. Dann würde ich mal sagen, war's das? Dann beende ich das Ganze. Na, das weiß ich. Das ist doch dieser erste Offizier oder so. Ja, und das ist wahrscheinlich dann die Tussi, die Schwester von den Brüdern. Das sind die Hauptpersonen, wenn die da drauf auftauchen. Das werden wir dann mal sehen. Aber jetzt würde ich sagen, beenden wir erstmal. Yep. So. Also, das war jetzt mal der erste Teil von Foolish Mortals Demo. Wie gesagt, das ist nur die Demo. Und der Rest werde ich dann noch spielen von dieser Demo. Mal schauen, wie lang die geht. Also was ich bis jetzt gesehen habe, grafisch mäßig gefällt es mir sehr gut. Gespenster, Karibik, was will man mehr? Mysteriöse Sachen drin. Also es hört sich schon mal gut an. Ich bin gespannt, wie es weitergeht. Bisher gefällt mir, die Rätsel sind bisher auch nicht allzu schwer gewesen. Gut, ich habe kaum Rätsel bisher gemacht, nur fleißig eingesammelt. Die großen Rätsel, die kommen jetzt. Da bin ich gespannt, wie es mit diesen Rätseln weitergeht. Ob die einigermaßen Sinn machen oder ob sie an den Haaren herbeigezogen sind, wie bei vielen anderen Adventure. Das ist halt immer die Gefahr bei den Adventure, dass sie da zwar Rätsel reinmachen, aber die ziemlich an den Haaren beigezogen sind. Und das ist nicht so mein Fall. Da habe ich schon mal ein Spiel abgebrochen, weil es mir überhaupt keine Lust mehr gemacht hat, wegen den Rätseln. Aber schauen wir mal weiter. Wie gesagt, ich bedanke mich jetzt mal fürs Zuschauen und ich hoffe, ihr seid dann beim nächsten Mal wieder dabei und ich bin gespannt, wie lange diese Demo dauert. Bis dahin, macht's gut. Ich hoffe, man sieht sich dann wieder und ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Tschüss.